Hi, you're back with Andrew. We're doing some statistics homework tonight. Next one I need to work on is percentile. In my homework, I have 20 scores in the percentile distribution. So let's work on that. I like to use an online tool called cram101.com. It helps me with the statistics stuff because it's already formatted for me and I don't have to mess around with spreadsheets. So let's go to cram101.com. And this is the menu for the stats labs. So we need distributions, central tendency, variability, and here we go, percentile. Clicking on that. The first thing they ask for is the number of scores in the distribution. And in my homework assignment, I have 20 different scores, so we'll pick 20. And then we need to enter the homework values. So let's go 64, 48, 55, 68, 72, 59, 57, 61, 63, 60, 60, 43, 67, 70, 65, 55, 56, 64, 61, and finally 60. Okay, so just check this real briefly here. Okay, so we have the data entered into the table. You can on CRAM choose random data if you want to come back and then just do some different exercises to ensure that you've sort of mastered the concept. They also provide fixed data, which is an exercise that they walk you through. So we've got our data in the table. The next step would be to order that data numerically. So we want it in numeric order. Just clicking that, CRAM will help you out a lot here because it does it for you. So you go from the smallest value, 43, to the highest value, which is 72. The next step is to select the number of intervals. The number of intervals is arbitrary. Basically, what the idea of number of intervals is you try to remove some of the detail in the distribution so you get it in smaller buckets or groups so that you can then basically see a little bit more of the characteristics of the distribution. So we have 20 scores. I'm going to select 10 intervals. So our upper limit of the distribution is 72 again. The lower limit of the distribution being 43. And that gives us a range of 29, which is simply the difference of the 72 and the 43. And if you take the range and divide it by the number of intervals and then round it up, you get an interval size or interval width of 3. So here are our intervals. And you see each interval is been subtracted by 0.5 at the lower limit and 0.5 at the upper limit. And this is to ensure that all the scores fall only into one bucket, so there's no overlap. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is calculate the frequency. To get the frequency, we need to go count the number of scores that will fit in each interval. So the first one would be 42.5 to 45.5. Let's click frequency. They say 1, so let's go see 42.5 to 45.5. So back up to our distribution. Yes, we only have one score that fits into that bucket. Okay, so we would proceed like that throughout the distribution. And you'd see we have a frequency of 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2. Kind of low on the lower end of the distribution. The next step then is to get to the cumulative frequency. And again, the cumulative frequency is the frequency of the interval you're in plus the frequency of everything below it. So the first interval will have the same frequency as the interval itself, which is 1. As we go to the second interval, the frequency of that particular interval is 1. And to get to the cumulative, you want to take 1 plus 1, which is the cumulative frequency below it. And that gets us a value of 2. And you go so forth through all the intervals. So the next one would be 3 is the cumulative frequency, which is the sum of the frequency of that interval plus the cumulative frequency below it. And you go on until you have accounted for all the scores in the distribution, which in our case is 20. Okay, to calculate then the next step, the percentiles, we basically want to look at the point at which P%, which is in this case 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 of all the data fall at or below in the distribution. Now, in this case, we have the 10th percentile is represented by 47, which is the midpoint of that interval. So when we describe the second interval, we typically refer to it with the midpoint value. So we would describe that interval as interval 47. So that's our 10th percentile. And then as you go through, you see the 20th, 30th, and you don't see a 40th because 40th and the 50th would basically coincide in the same interval. So 50th replaces the 40th. And that gives you your table of percentiles. To see the distribution, you can also plot it out as a histogram. And that will let you see how the shape of this distribution goes. And it gets much steeper at the top. And then you can polygon. Okay, you can see here, then this is a rapid change in our distribution and very small frequencies to lower end. That's a frequency distribution for cumulative frequencies. Thank you.